Hello YouTube. Today, this is gonna be my first time analyzing an O3 recording from Mr. Shredder1 leading an O3 in a cast player ghost run. On this run, I'm gonna look for his fundamentals, for his calls, and what can he call to improve as a raid leader. So let's get started. Unfortunately, there is no mini boss, so we're just gonna start with Oryx.
Collect your nothing and have
Okay, spread it on towers. I want to see people on left tower. I'm gonna have some decoys on the left tower. I'm gonna be decoying the boss guys. I'm also gonna be.
Okay, for starters, telling people to spread for towers is pretty good because we want every tower down. In this scenario, we're coming from gem spot, so the towers are top right, bottom right, and left side. So mostly the top right and bottom right tower will be down, but him calling for people on the left tower is pretty good because it's the most further away tower from our default grouping, which is top right. So props to him for calling it.
Buddy, I want some more people on the left tower. More people on the left tower. More people on the left tower.
Now the fight is starting. There is one crucial thing is missing, which is giving a grouping for the group. Most people already default groups to top right, but when you're leading on RSA, there might be some new players and we want to actually repeat our grouping, and most times in this round, since it's a ghost run and cast player is leading, which is a VRL, he will already be calling to group top right, but I want to also hear it from you, because otherwise when you're come to a point where you lead your own runs after you get your role, you know the deal, like give a grouping.
Crumples on decoy. Pushing. More people on the left tower. Crumples on decoy. Pushing if you can on the top. Stop shooting now.
So for this call, when you're looking at the side of the recording, it seems like he gave the stop shooting call before the shield was up. But when you're leading your own run, you need to input the Discord delay, so we want to be very preemptive about the card. On the specific crumples, he has lots of fluff, which we want to avoid, especially for quick cards in the middle, where the group is mostly pushed in. On this scenario, they're not pushed in, so you can have some little bit of fluff, but usually how it goes is, on this one,
Crumples on decoy. Pushing if you can on the top.
usually we don't even say on decoy, especially if you're the one who is decoying. You can pretty much say, I mean, at the start you can say, I'll be decoying, everything will be on decoy, if you're a companion one, which is fine.
Stop shooting now.
But usually for quick cards like this, we want to say crumples, quick cards, stop shooting now. No space in between, so by the time you say stop shooting, it will be like half a second earlier than he actually cards, which will give people enough time to react to it. Because not almost like every people have the best reaction time, and we also want to input the Discord delay, as I mentioned earlier. But other than that, since like the group is like kind of pushed away, there are like some people still on the top right tower. There's like two people on the left tower. This is fine, not bad.
Fleeing is futile on a decoy.
Fleeing is futile. We can say this as a fluff. Like you don't need to give the entire phase name. You can just say fleeing on a decoy, pushing from X. On this scenario, fleeing on a decoy, pushing from above, it's fine.
Push on the top. Get ready for a guard. Stop shooting now.
Yeah, I think this card is pretty good. It might look a little bit early, but when you input to Discord delay, it's gonna be perfectly fine and reactable for people. But usually on these scenarios, there's also another fluff issue, which is like get ready for a guard. You don't need to say that. It's a fluff. It's like unnecessary. All you can say is fleeing on a decoy, pushing from above. Stop shooting now.
Accept your fate on a decoy. Push on the top. Dominance, Pestis portals.
For the fate, uh, by the way, it's the same fluffing again. All you say is fate on a decoy, pushing from above. That should be plenty of enough. You don't need to read out the text entirely, because like you don't need to say accept your fate. Like people know the fate as fate, so you can just say fate on a decoy, pushing from above. It also depends on like where you decoy and like where you want the group to initially push in. But in that scenario, he decoyed it to the bottom, so like pushing from up is enough. Let me hear what you call for dominance.
Dominance, pestis, portals.
Okay, it's pretty good, but after this initial call, just tell people to group up upright. It's not what we do all the time. Dominance, passage, portal, state upright. If the group is already upright, if not, you can say grouped upright. Also, if you're not your own trickster during resets or during the stage changes, you can also mention decoys on mid. But since you're like decoying your own runs, and also I think Casper is also on a decoy, he's braining, which is pretty fine. But in future runs, also for a reference, if you're like watching this video as a someone who is going for ARL or other things and you're not playing trickster yourself, you want to call decoys between phases and whenever he resets or his state changes. The best way to find out do we like rather have decoys or not is where's round. You can hop on round, do a /c in the chat, and you can see what classes are currently in the run. The best time I'll possibly recommend is during the third room while going into the mini boss, because there's some mini bosses where we also want to know if you have a decoy or not. For example, the Korix, Mesa. Or you can do it when you're going into all three after the mini is dead to see if you have a trickster at all or not. Because it will give you a heads up if there is no decoys at all before going into the run. You can mention that there is no decoys for the drag phases. We're gonna be dragging Oryx up and left. You can call it initially after for phases to phases too, but calling it like every time is a little bit of fluff, especially for some phases where you can, even if it's not on decoy, it will be still be a quick guard for like crumples. So mentioning it preemptively is pretty fine. Just make sure you check what reacts you have.
Splendor, right, left, down, up. Get ready for a stagger. Stop shooting now.
It's the same thing. Like I'm not gonna keep mentioning this, but like don't use extra words. Like don't say get ready for a stagger. Only to say spender push in or spender right up down up stagger stop shooting. Like those extra fluffs is like unnecessary. It's not a nothing like on this scenario. It doesn't change anything. Like his stop shooting timing is still fine, but on some phases, if he does it, for example, on a quick card phase, if he has that kind of a fluff, for example, he says like armor crumples on the decoy, push in, and by the time he says stop shooting, it's gonna be already guarded. So we want to keep our wording as simple as possible, especially in like later of the video. I don't know if there's any scenarios for that, but like during heavens, when there's like lots of things to call, initially using less words for the most simple thing is will give you more space to call other things.
Splendor, just blast through. Right, left, down, up.
Yeah, that's pretty fine. Good bluster.
Dance. Portal's gonna be inner and outer.
Portals, what?
Not portals. AoE bombs.
Oh, there we go. Same thing again. Dance, bombard effects inner outer, state upright equals mid.
Fleeing is futile on the decoy. Push it on the top. Stop shooting now.
Okay, this was kind of like an early guard, but there's a saying, better early than late, and it's pretty true for guards especially. I mean, this is a veteran, so him expecting a early guard on fleeing is pretty fine, pretty normal, but I guess the damage is not the best. But again, better to be early than late, because if you're early, the most fucked up thing can happen is like people stop shooting, you don't get a guard, but if you're late, it will get blasted and people will die, so rather be early than late, but for like on a more higher level note, I think there was like one more fleeing on the run. Let me find it. Crumples fleeing. Yeah, there we go.
Regard, stop shooting now.
Like this fleeing also takes some time, as you guys see. So this is like what we call as a DPS sense and like fight awareness. Like when you see this fleeing, it's taking like 3 to 4 seconds. When you have the next fleeing, you can also use that knowledge to call the guard better. So for example, you see it takes like 3 to 4 seconds here, and when we go to the this fleeing, let me mute him. What I would call is fleeing on a decoy, pushing on a bow, stop shooting now, stop, 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 and he will be guarded. There's like lots of other things you can call in the middle, but as you can see, like on this run specifically, the fleeing takes like 4 to 5 seconds to guard. So when you see it happening on a one fleeing, you can use that knowledge for the other one. which is another TRL to ARL thing, which is like more RL plus to VRL level, but it's actually pretty helpful. And I think it's something we need to implement for like ARL to RL level 2, but it's, I guess we can say it's work in progress. Uh, we wanna have more higher ceiling, especially for these scenarios. But this is like pretty noticeable.
Gaze, decoy bottom right. Put your hand on the top. Staggered. Stop shooting now.
Okay, for this case, one thing I don't like about it is that you telling where you decoyed it, and because it's like you're gonna lead on RSA. Like raiders don't need to know where you decoyed off. You can decoy to bottom right and tell people to push it from above, but you don't need to mention that you decoyed it to the bottom right. I can say that as a fluff because like when you say decoy to the bottom right, none of the people on RSA is gonna understand. Oh, he's shooting towards bottom right, so we can group up above him. No, like they'll be like, oh, he's decoyed, nice. So all you need to say is, gaze decoyed, push him from above. Pretty easy. You give them a straight direction to push him from, which is safe. It's perfect.
Gaze, decoy bottom right. Put your hand on the top.
Also, there's a brain who's stealing your like this brain is bad. Like this is decoying you to the right side, which is like kind of bad. Some people here on the top right-ish can get shot. Like your decoy was perfect. I don't know who this brain. It's probably test player. Yo, if you're watching this video, bro, don't decoy like that. Shout out to Phagito though.
Staggered. Stop shooting now. Oh, nice.
That second was kind of late, but like it got blasted. You called nothing for exalted. Again, exalted more shots, more damage. Straight up by decoys mid. Basic things.
Auto
Others.
rotates. Hug a wall if
Call it others. You don't need to call other rotates.
you can.
Wait, did they just say hug a wall if you can? What?
Auto rotates. Hug a wall if you can.
Okay, that call is dumb. We don't want people to hug the wall if they can, because like everyone can hug the wall, and then the Oryx will just ram pass through, and like we don't get a stagger. What we call is hug the wall if you're low, because if you hug a wall, you don't get hit by any of these shots, and the only shot you need to worry about the exposing shots shooting from Oryx, and which is like pretty easily dodgeable. Yo, this shot here. I don't know if you guys can see my cursor, but like the one below the pet status portal, the circle, like these circles, and you will only like get hit by it when, for example, Oryx is on top left and you're hugging the wall on the top right, because like he will throw it in a direction also. But like again, for others, don't say hug the wall if you can. Say hug the wall if you're low, because it's the safest place. Also for this one specifically, this
Auto
others,
rotate.
this is also like a little bit more higher level. I guess it was, I'll say like RL level,
Hug a wall
but
if you can.
I would say others, rotate with them, hug wall is low, lots of fluff. Best, I guess, what's the most basic thing to say here? I guess like you can say others, rotate with them. Watch out for the racist portal. Hug the wall if you're low. I don't even say hug the wall if you're low. I think it's like a common knowledge term nowadays. But I think the mentioning the portal here is like more important than this kind of, because like the portal is on our ass. Like this Pestilus portal. Sometimes like they rotate around the room on others, and sometimes it's like behind Oryx, and sometimes it's in front. There's like four of them, I think. On this one, it's like literally into the group, so I think it's a good thing to mention. Watch out for the racist portal. The reason we say it racist portal is like because it's like eeping our ass, so it's kind of racist to have it like that.
Staggered. Stop shooting now.
Okay, for this one, like I think he was ready for a reset, so he tried to like go to the top right, but this was only one phase, which is a phase staggered guard. It's a 3 point, so it's like it can reset, but it's not that likely. I think it's like more chances that it don't reset than reset. So the best thing you can call here is staggered stop shooting now, group up below him, decoys on him. Just give a grouping for the group, and if there is a phase happening after this, for example, like this Cosmos, like we're directly below him, and we're ready to pump.
Cosmos on top. Ignore the red dots. Stop shooting.
Cosmos, okay, this call, I think this one is lots of fluff, lots of unnecessary things. On this one, you just want to say, like, you see the entire group is pushed in, other than this, like, one guy here. I don't know what he's doing on the left, but, like, All in to say is Cosmos, QuickGuard, stop shooting now, and you can add additional if you want. Watch your feet for the red dots, or like don't get red dotted, whatever you want, like more like to call. But like the people are already know that if there's a big red dot, they're not gonna sit on it. So like mentioning it before the guard is like a little bit iffy. I would just say Cosmos because actually now watch your feet if you want. I wouldn't even say that, but like it's up to you if you wanna be more on safety.
Now.
And Celestial right before the towers, which is insane.
Celestial, good luck on your rotate.
I mean it's fine. I think we have a script for Celestial. We say Celestial, go to your favorite manners, don't back out to walls, portals, and stuff up. There's some people who say next over dying chuck HP pots, but it's so fucking much. All you need to do is Celestial, go to your favorite manners, don't back out the walls, portals, and stuff up. So like, if you hug a wall, like as you can see, this pet status portals on the right side of our screen. He's EPing the wall with like thousands of shots. Like if you hug a wall, you're dead. If you sit on a portal, you're also dead because you're tanking the shot. He's shooting forward, which is a one shot, and the shots he's shooting behind. So most important call on Celestial is to don't back out the walls and portals and stuff up. Well, nice EP there. We're on the last rotation now. This is the time where you want to start calling things like last rotation, range pushing melees back out, he will TP at the beginning of each phase, we have one phase before towers. Let's see what he calls. He's EPing, okay.
Or it's just gonna be teleporting now. There's gonna be lightning strikes.
There's gonna be lightning strikes, but that's not something you need to call because the lightning strikes was already there for the Celestial itself too. I also don't hear a grouping. Again, since this cast player veteran, he's already giving a grouping. Like when you look at the minimap, you see the entire group is grouped up below. I don't know why they're grouping up below, but I guess it's fine on Gemspot kinda because you can get the bottom right tower and the left tower. Because like we know the towers will come back after 5 to 6 seconds when he first initially starts the phase. So it's good to like stay close to the towers. On Gemsmoke, the best side is to stay on the right side tower, but it's kind of a little bit risky because if he does an inners and outers, he will run over the group. I'm actually pretty fine with grouping up below because we are close both to the bottom right tower and the left tower. But the downside of the bottom side grouping is if he also does inners and outers, we're gonna be far, far away from the boss. So if you're in this kind of scenario, you want to call a regrouping immediately. Like if you see him doing an outers and you're grouping up below, are they grouping up below? Am I blind? They're grouping up above. Wait. Okay, I have no idea. But again, just to say, I didn't know he was like cam rotating, which is fine. What I was saying. Uh, okay. If you're grouping up below, you see an others, just tell people to counter rotate minimum top. Same for inners, because like otherwise, the towers will come back before we get a stagger or a guard, and then the run is gonna feel bad, like iffy after, because like we wasted like 10 to 15 seconds, like not getting a guard into towers. We need to spread the group for towers, then regroup, and then he's gonna do a random phase. Yeah, just like try to be on top.
Except if you on a decoy, push it on the bottom. Get ready for a stagger.
It's pretty fine.
Stop shooting now.
It's pretty good. Now we know. At this point, what I would call is ignore the boss, get the left and bottom right tower now. Because it's the most priority, and even if it does a new phase after this, since the towers are back, he will be invulnerable, so it's good to like use this downtime when he's guarding to tell people to preemptively spread for towers. Let's see what he does.
Get a tower, guys. Spread on towers, spread on towers, spread on towers, and then push it on.
It's pretty fine. He tell people to spread on towers. There's like people getting left tower here. They're shooting. There's some people also on the top right tower, which is pretty good. Like we want all the towers down because even if you get 2 towers down after Celestial, the last one is gonna give Oryx armor, which is pretty fucked. So like you also want that shit down.
Panic and scream. Push on panic and scream in the roll. Heavens beams are coming in. Fooling is futile on a decoy. Right to left beams. Push in if you can on this futile. Stop shooting now.
Okay, this card was pretty reactive because, as I say, there's like lots of things you need to call. I think I mentioned it earlier in the video, like in later scenarios like this, when you say fleeing is futile on a decoy, and then there's beams coming in, there's something's gonna be late. And at this scenario, it was discard. So just imagine a word where you say fleeing on a decoy, pushing from below, right to left beam, start shooting now. Or he can say fleeing on a futile on decoy, cross the beam at the bottom, start shooting. So it's like what I mentioned with the fluff. Like when you're adding this additional fluff and there's like lots of things to say. For example, he Oryx is doing fleeing, you're adding a fleeing is futile, then you're saying it's on a decoy instead of fleeing on decoy, which is like 3 to 4 words less, and then there's the guard you need to call, and then there's the heavens beams you need to call. It's all gonna like that one long ass line you need to call, and at the end you're gonna be late on something. In this scenario, it was his guard was late. So again, one more time, remove the unnecessary fluff. Always focus on the most basic thing, which is fleeing on a decoy, pushing from below, right to left beams, suck shooting now. And after you say suck shooting, you can say cross beams at the bottom. You can give it like a cross the call beam. This is like a more higher up, like BRL level call, but like you can say cross the beams at the bottom, say push in, decoys on them. Because like we want a decoy, because the phase chain is fate and gaze, which is pretty dangerous.
Decoy left.
Okay, you didn't call the phase name here, and you also called where you decoyed.
Gaze. Okay.
Okay, you don't call anything. Like on your last case, you called both, like where you decoy them and where do you want the group to push in. But on this one, you called the decoy, like where you decoyed it. You didn't call the phase name and you didn't give a push in direction. Yeah, as you can see, the entire group is pushing from the bottom right, which is probably what Casper told. It's on decoy pushing from bottom right because like it's decoyed off to the bottom left, so he shoots one bottom left and one top right for decoy. So like Phagito, that I think your decoy is keeping, bro. I'm not gonna lie. It's like the bad part of like having like two decoys. Okay, but for the point on this one, like again, you don't want to call where you want to group. Where you put the decoy on, you just want to say gaze push from bottom right because you already put the decoy on bottom left, so bottom right is gonna be the most safe place. Also, don't forget the pacing, bro.
Stop shooting now.
This is an easy blast, but like again, blasting is like we don't expect anyone below VRL to call blaster, so. And the run ends here. Let's see. What am I doing, bro? Okay, for the conclusion for Phagito, let me open up my paint. Let's see. For the biggest points, let's do an overall. I think the first thing I want you to focus on is your call structure. And what is a call structure? Call structure is it's basically the line of words we use while leading Oryx, and it's like to keep it mostly simple and also know what he is doing, where he's at, and where they want to group up. So the call structure goes by phase name, Oryx, O3 lock, and grouping. So what you want is that what the fuck was that? Okay. So let's say we're not on a vet run with two brains, perma braining everything, everyone is pushing, everyone is pumping, every phase is guarding blasted, 2 minute run. Let's say you're in an RSA run, on a 6 minute run, no one is pumping shit and like it all goes bad. That's when this call structure is gonna help a lot. But especially on no decoy runs, this is the structure we want to follow up. Because, for example, when he does a nowhere to run and he runs to the bottom right, and the entire group is scared off, they're on the top side, and when he's doing a new phase, we want to call accordingly. So, wait, what was the nowhere to run phase chain? Nowhere to run is crumples, controls? I haven't, oh yeah, okay, I'm a little bit washed, but like, let's forget about that. Let's say he's gonna do crumples after nowhere to run. And he's on the bottom left, the entire group is on top right. This is what we wanna call. Crumples on bottom left, stay top right. This is mostly what we do for RSA, especially on like bad end runs with no decoys and everyone is on like a bad set. Like we don't want to chase through phases because like it's better to like wait for him to come into the group and then we can react accordingly than chasing him down with like a bad DPS only to get run over. Like the most basic of basic, like if you're gonna end up bleeding on RSA, even only for your TRLs, then this is like what you want to follow up, especially if he's not on a decoy. There's like different structures too. I'm gonna mention one more, I think. This is the most basic. Give the phase name or its location and where we wanna group up. This can go for more things. For example, he does a fleeing. Let's say it's off decoy. He's running into the group, and you can say fleeing, drag him up and left, and then you're just mentioning, keep like rotating with him, and you're gonna mention the like phase chain initially after that, which is like on a more higher end of stuff, but like I think it's fine to know what is coming up after a phase. Only to know if it's like good or bad. So like fleeing phase chain is a pretty good phase chain. You wanna the group to push in. So you can use this knowledge as like fleeing, drag him up and left. Be ready to push in. He's on the bottom side for panic crumbles. And that will work. This is like what I don't expect from TRLs, but since it's Phagito, like this guy probably did like 10 billion ultras in his life, and he knows every phase. He probably knows some few phase chains too, even not all of them. It's like teaching a TRL who's like at an RL level, just missing the basics as like basic leading. You can just like convert these kind of things in your favor. Other thing I realized we were missing. How can I? Oh wait, okay, this aura. This is the code. Let's say this is the code structure. But since like you're a perma-playing summoner on your runs, you always have a decoy. It doesn't matter. Now to the second point. QuickGuard structure. This is what you're gonna see end up mostly on your runs, bro. I'm not gonna lie. Cause like you're perma decoying, the group is pushed in. Let's say he is doing crumples. What do you wanna say? If you say crumples on a decoy, push him, blah blah blah, stop shooting now, it's gonna get blasted. So no, we're not doing that. What you're doing is when you're already the decoy yourself, you can just say crumple. I'm so bad at typing, well, quick guard, stop shooting, and no space in between. Like it takes me some time to write it up, but like when you initially want to call this, when you see him doing crumples, you all you need to say is crumples, quick guard, stop shooting now, immediately. Like in a 1 second, you need to like finish his entire line, but otherwise, people will blast, and crumples blasted is nah. This goes for any phase. Like we don't want like anything to get blasted. So when you know the entire group is pushed in, you're perma decoying, and he's doing a quick guard phase, it's gonna quick guard. This goes for every phase. Fleeing is like that one little exception where it takes like 3 to 4 seconds to guard on like RSA, but it guards in RSA. Like back in the day, the fleeing was like never get guards. So whenever we say fleeing, we were saying back off, be ready to push in after because like the fleeing question is pretty good, unguarded. But nowadays we're guarding everything, so even on this kind of thing you can still call. Maybe for not for fleeing. For fleeing, as we can see on the video, on this run it took it like 3 to 4 seconds to guard. Let's find it. It starts on 28, 29, and it guards at 33. So it takes 4 seconds for the fleeing, which is not a quick guard, but you can still call like fleeing on a decoy, pushing from above, stop shooting now. You have time to call this stuff, which is pretty fine. But for every other phase, for like crumples, inners, nowhere to run, flashes, when everyone is pushed in, and when he's on a decoy, it's gonna get guarded in 1 second, even less than that. So one other thing for Mr. Shredder 1, let's do this. On the more basic side, there is no grouping at all, like the most basic grouping. For grouping itself, like since this is a ghost run, the group was already grouped up. But when you're initially gonna do your TRLs and you never call a grouping, your entire structure is gonna fall off because you're gonna see a crumple. with your decoy, then you're gonna say QuickGuard stop shooting now, but the group was gonna be split around. Or else for a fleeing on a decoy, you will be like, okay, I'm gonna guard this in like 3 to 4 seconds, so I'll say fleeing on a decoy, pushing from a bow. But then you're gonna see the entire group is spread around. There's like 10 people bottom left, 10 people bottom right, 10 people left, and like when you say pushing from a bow, they'd be like, I'm on the bottom right, bro. How can I come to the top side? You know. So that's the whole idea of grouping. Like we want the group to stay together, so we can share the buffs. We can stay together. We can share heals, so everyone will be like at full HP, buffed up. They deal on the voice crack. They deal more damage. You know, most basic thing. For your grouping itself, you were missing grouping overall for everything. I think you told me that since you know like Casper was already grouping, you were not calling any grouping calls. So like even then, since like these are like ghost transitions, you're practicing to leading at your own. Just soak in and give a grouping. Gonna group on top right for every phase on resets and like state changes and at the beginning. After Celestial, we group up depending on the tower locations. You know this already. But like I think I had the guide up on the Discord for post Celestial grouping. You can check that. I'm not a VRL right now, so I can't even show it, which is a bummer. But like on the most basic, give default grouping. On resets, state changes, and after okay, not after, but like when he is not mid. I mean, since you're already decoying all your runs, the only scenario where he's not in the middle is probably gonna be others or inners. I mean, the inners one is pretty easy. It just goes into bashes smells, which is you already know. If it's bashes, you're gonna funny it. If it smells, you're gonna say inners, quicker, stop shooting now, stay left of him. You don't need to give it drag like decoy call at all. And if it's bashes, you can say bashes getting funny, don't run over him. Stagger, stop shooting now, watch out for the thought. And if it's smells, say push him, box the fields up, chase him down. You know, basic shit. For others though, since it's a stagger, we don't know after we stagger him what phase is coming. That's a good thing. Like there's no phase change for stagger guards, so it's gonna be anything. So let's say we stagger the others. This is the Oryx arena. We stagger him on top right here on the top wall, not top right. We're gonna say others stagger, stop shooting now. Group up below him, decoys on him, because he can do anything. So yeah, that's for the grouping points. I think on the most basic level, there's like nothing else. There's like okay. There's like more things to talk about, but I think it's like pretty fine for you to work on for now. Know your code structure. This is like not that important for you because like you're decoying everything. I'm not gonna lie, but it's still fine. Like to like know it. Like this is also the point I mentioned for grouping. See, stagger on top wall, then we call phase name or it's still grouping. But just as like we're calling this preemptively, after the stagger itself, we're saying stagger stop shooting, group up below, decoys on him, and then at this point you don't need to call like the regular call structure. You can focus on what he is doing with slashes, quicker stop shooting. If it's another stagger phase, I mean we're blasting this shit, you know, so it's fine. For QuickGuard structure, we talked about being preemptive, calling it immediately, and don't having any fluff like you do, for example, calling fleeing as fleeing is futile, or I don't know if you had, but like calling crumples as like armor crumples, like this fluff, done to remove the fluff. Even though it's not a guard, same for fate. Like you don't need to say accept your fate. You just need to say fate, and then you can say decoy, pushing from X. And for the regular grouping, I think you already know where to group, when to group. So just try to say it out loud. Like in every like on your runs, I'm seeing you like grouping or like holding bashes. Like when you're not holding something or like helping the group or like decoying, you already know where the group wanna be. For example, when you're decoying something, you're decoying it to the left side so we can push him from right side when we're on top right. So you already know we need to group on top right, but just you're not just putting it on words. So next time, focus on telling it. Tell people to group up. At the beginning, group up on top right. When it resets, stay top right. And after Celestial, give a good grouping. And the other thing, for others and inners, just tell a grouping after it. Others, group up below him after he staggers. Okay, don't call it like that, but like others, staggers, start shooting. Group up below him, decoys on him. You're the decoy, you can just say group up below him. And you can decoy him onto the top wall for like fade gaze if it happened, and then we can pump from below. Okay, I just how long it is? 35 minutes. Okay, I just raw dogged it, so it's not in the perfect state. I'm not gonna edit anything. I'm just gonna put it up. Thank you if you stayed here and listened to this abomination of a video of me teaching Phagito how to lead Oryx for 36 minutes straight.